Hello friends, and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing a speed build of a graveyard. That's right, we're finally getting to making this graveyard. So I was super excited to do this. I knew once the Life and Death expansion pack came out, we were gonna be building a graveyard for this decade's challenge. And I am so happy I did it. Now, this did take me a little bit of time. It took me longer than I had expected. I thought, you know, it shouldn't take that long. This will be real quick. How long will a graveyard take? Yeah, it took me a bit of time. I ended up recording like almost 8 hours worth of footage, and then my hard drive got full, and so yeah, I didn't have quite enough space to hold it all. So the very end of this video, I will be taking a walkthrough of what it looks like. So if you want to skip the speed build part, just skip to the end to where I actually show you how it ends, because it did cut out when I was just finishing up this building. So I decided to take the lot that had the church on in Henford and Bagley, and I got rid of that church and bulldozed it flat, and that's where I'm building my own little church and graveyard. I knew I wanted a graveyard with a church, I just didn't know how to arrange things. So it did take me quite a lot of time to figure out how I wanted to get things arranged, but once I started arranging the graves, it started to come to me. It got a little bit easier. So I did move one of the twins. I can't think of it right now, but it's Roger and Catalina. They're twin boys. I moved one of them, I think Samuel, into this lot, and he is like going to be the caretaker of this lot. So I decided to make it a residential because I didn't want, non-decade sims to come in, which they tend to do. So whenever we have a sim that dies or someone who is getting married, we're gonna have Samuel, I believe it is. It might be the other one that I can't think of his name right now, but I am going to be having them officiate it and take care of it and having them deal with it. They were the only two young adults that were at the very beginning of their young adulthood. They had just aged up. So I wanted somebody young in here. So I think moving on forward, when they pass away and this lot becomes empty, we'll move one of our other families in. One of maybe like the siblings of Andrew, maybe somebody can move in, one of them, Hugh or somebody later down the road. We'll just have to see whoever's available, but it'll be family that will always be taking care of this lot. So you wouldn't think that grave sites would be that difficult to arrange, but it kind of was. But what I ended up doing was kind of going by family. Now, back at this time, cemeteries were mostly in the church's lot, and the church took care of it all. So you would have some peasants couldn't afford to get buried, so they would end up being in like an unmarked grave where it was multiple people in. It was very morbid. I know, it was very morbid and dark, but I decided, because of this challenge, we have so many sims passed away, and actually we had like 47 sims that have died. I had 47 tombstones on me. Yeah, I had more sims than that pass away. I probably had about 6 or 8 something sims that I was not able to get their tombstones. Like Peter and Alice, I couldn't get their tombstones. I think at the time when they passed away, I think shortly thereafter I had a calling in my game, because I feel like there's a number of sims that died around that time. The first generation and the second generation, I have no clue. I have no idea their tombstones I cannot get. So what I did is I just placed down tombstones that came with the pack, the Life and Death expansion pack, that were just blank, and put them down. Now, Thomas Jr., which would have been Isabel's nephew, I was able to get his tombstone. I was able to click on one of the tombstones, a new tombstone, and said collect urn, and he showed up. He was dead. but he showed up. But unfortunately, Thomas and his wife, who I can't think of her name right now, I could not get theirs. I couldn't decide whose graves to put in the stone-like and who's to put in more of the fresh grave, I guess you want to call them. I did a mix. So all of the first generation heirs, like James and Isabel, went into the stone slab. And then their children either just had like the stone outlines. So if you notice some of these graves that have the stones around are a little bit smaller, those are babies that have passed on that I just ended up doing that way. We couldn't get their tombstones. Babies and toddlers got smaller graves with the stones around it. I'll show you what I'm talking about at the end of the video when we take a look at that. I think the first 10 minutes of this video, which would have been the first half of my 8-hour build, was just placing the tombstones and arrangements here. And I tried to use flowers and trees that were in the area, and so these are the closest. These trees were the closest, and I just really like the red and the orange trees. I think they're really pretty on this lot. I'll show you more at the end of this video. I did leave a number of blank grave sites so that we have a room for our future Sims. There's going to be plenty of room, and if I need to, I can come in and like get rid of some of these stones and like make them smaller graves and, you know, squeeze them in. I'll be able to squeeze them in because, we're just now towards the end of the 1300s. We are going to be having a lot of Sims pass away. I imagine later down the road, when we're in more modern times, we'll actually have just one dedicated cemetery with no church, just all grave sites. I'll keep these folks here, but I'll probably be making another grave site down the road because I think this is going to get full pretty quick. And you'll see here in just a little bit when I start building the church. The church is very small. I just wanted a small, like, little local kind of church, not a cathedral, but a church that we could have weddings and stuff and continue all of, like, the storyline with the family. So yeah, I really like how it does turn out. Turns out pretty good. And here I'm just arranging the flowers and the greenery, and I just couldn't put down bare tombstones. I just didn't like a bunch of just tombstones. So I had to add a little touch of stones and lots of flowers. Would they have had a gravesite like this? No, it would have just been tombstones, guys. It would have just been tombstones lined up, piled up on each other. In the 13 and 1400s, especially in the 1300s after the Black Death came through, they had a overrun of actual grave sites. And actually, people got buried underneath the floors of the church. I know they did this all over the world. When I was in Ireland just recently, we visited a church and they had actual graves underneath that church. And it was from like the 1100s or 1200s. It was like a really old church and it was really super cool, but I was a little creeped out. So here I am building this little church. I actually found an image on Google Images and kind of went with one that I liked the best and that would be simple and easy for me to build, which is just this little church. So I do like how it turns out. I was quite satisfied, actually. It did take me a little bit of time. When I first placed it down, of course I cut this out. When I first placed it down, I did not have it on a foundation, and I really wanted it on a foundation, so I had to actually get rid of it and start all over again. So this church took me about 2 or 3 tries. I had to make you wouldn't think it's that simple. It's so easy. It would be easy to make, but I didn't have it wide enough. I didn't have it long enough. I didn't have a foundation, whatever. I did use a lot of things that came from the castle little kit. I used the brick from that and I used the windows. They just looked the most church-like to me and they just fit really well with what I was trying to go for. So I do end up I did make a living space in that tall like tower there. So I had to have a room where, Samuel could go to rest and cook or whatever and have a place to be, his dwelling. So that's all in the tower there. And you'll see here in a minute when we go into the church, I really didn't know what to put on the inside of this thing. So I just kind of went with whatever looked maybe medieval, or it said in the title, like custom content said medieval, whatever. I just went with it. So it's probably not accurate. I'm aware of this, but I like how it looks and it's fine. We have to remember that this is a game and we can only get so accurate and so close to real life. We only have certain things. We don't have all the tools that we can to make this more realistic. But in the end, I think it came out pretty darn well. Now, those windows I do end up changing. This isn't bad. I just decided to make the rooms taller. So these windows looked a little too small. I had to keep quitting because my game kept wanting to freeze, and I actually had to redo a couple parts because I was not able to save. My game would just lock up and I would end up having to come in and out. So yeah, it was a fun time. It was very buggy, this lot. It felt like the longer I was building on this lot, the more buggier it got. So, but in the end, I end up making it all right. It ends up turning out pretty good. So I don't know what else to tell you guys. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I will see you at the end of this video. I'm going to let this speed build play through. And then I will give you a walkthrough of what it actually looks at the very end. right, so here is our church lot now. Lots of trees. So these trees actually do match a little bit better than what I remember. Anyways, he's out here. It is Samuel. I did have it correct. Samuel Atwood. So he is here. He's going to be the one taking care of everything. So I ended up changing the fencing. I tried to use the fencing that came with the new expansion pack, Life and Death, and I ended up not liking it. I mean, I liked it, but I liked the stone better for some reason. So I end up changing it all to stone, and I just put down these stone paths. Now, would they have had these paths? Probably not. This is more for just aesthetic reasons. It looks nice anyway. So let me give you a view of all of the grave sites. It looks so much better to me now than it did before, where they were just stacked on each other, which actually that is probably more realistic than this, but I like it. So we're gonna leave it this way. I tried to use most of the tombstones from the pack that didn't look too modern. I kind of clumped them in families style, like by generation. So here is where the original Agnes, we have a couple babies named after her, but they didn't live, so they're scattered around here somewhere. But anyway, we have the starting 0 generation right here. To the left is James and Isabel here, and then over here is Peter and Alice. Now, like I said, I did not have their tombstones, so I just used the ones that came from the game and made them that way. So I did engrave them, I believe. Yes, Peter Atwood, and this is Alice Atwood. And so all of their family is down this way. So this is all of Peter and Alice's family. And I believe over here we have Thomas's. So I'm actually missing quite a few tombstones that I did not even put in. Most of our family from James's line is all down this way. So we have Richard and Marietta over here, and yeah, Roger and Catalina. And actually, Roger and Catalina's 4 children are all still alive, and Samuel is one of them. Here we have Cecilia and all her babies that died in the Black Death. Now, I didn't put stones. By this point, I was getting a little tired of just placing all these stones, so I left them. I might go back in and change it, or I might leave it. And then I didn't have her husband's tombstone, so I had to make one again from the game. And then I did place down some empty plots here for our future Sims that'll be coming here to join us. And as you can tell, there's plenty of room. We have all of this area, and I can get rid of some of this and just squeeze them all in as we need to. And then here is the church. So this is where we're going to be coming to get married. Now, they wouldn't really necessarily get married in the church unless they were of nobility, and right now we're not really. So right now we're just getting married outside. So I made this little section to get married outside. So I wanted to use custom content art, but it doesn't really work. So I'm hoping that maybe this will work. Oh, and this is all the seating. So yeah, they probably wouldn't have this, but this is for me. This is for the Sims, okay? And then here is how the church is looking. I even found a little bell. It looks like it is crooked, but anyways, I had a hard time placing this bell. I don't know why. Let me take all these walls down to the first level. So here is how it is looking on the inside. We have all of our pews facing this way. And this is obviously custom content. I can't remember who made this, but it's beautiful. Oh, it's by ZXTA. It is the sculpture wall altar. I really like it. I think it looks pretty. And I put down from the expansion pack, I put down this little memorial display, but I of course put all these candles, and I'm using it as like a table of sorts. And then here is the holy book. This came with the rambunctious religion. So they actually can come here and discover their religion, which I'll have them do when we're actually playing and stuff. And then here is the podium and all of that. And then here we have a confessions booth. And then we have our stairs that go leading up. So on the second level is just this little room for Samuel. It's like a little kitchen. And then on the third level, we have like a little study area. Maybe he comes in here to write sermons. I don't know, do whatever. And then on the top level, we have this area here where is a bed to sleep, a chamber pot, and a Bible, and a little writing thing. So that is it. That is my church build. And yeah, lots of room for future Sims, especially with the war coming up. We'll probably be having some Sims pass away and we'll have room for everybody. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, it would be amazing if you did. And also don't forget to click the little bell to get notified whenever I have a video go up. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.